Hello everyone, my name is Scott Aubrey. I'm the owner of Aubrey Law. We do estate planning and probate. And today's topic is how to avoid probate without a trust. But before I get to that, if you have any question about today's topic or any questions about estate planning or probate, you can go to aubreylegal.com and schedule a time to talk with me for free. So today's topic is how do I avoid probate without a trust? This is a common question that comes up in initial client meetings. Because a lot of people's main goal of creating an estate plan is to avoid probate, and they want to avoid probate, but at the same time they don't really want to create a trust. So the question becomes, can I do that? Do I have to create a trust? And the answer to that question is no, you don't have to create a trust to avoid probate. There are other strategies you can use to avoid probate without a trust, but there are some limitations to that strategy, and the main one is that you do not have the ability to restrict the transfer of the assets to the person that you want them to go to. There's no restriction. So what it means is that it would be a direct distribution, in that when you die, those assets will transfer to them outright without any sort of restrictions. This may be fine in a lot of cases. That's why you don't really need a trust. But there may be other situations where the transfer of those assets outright to a particular individual may not be the best idea. You may want to delay that or have it be transferred out in stage distributions at different time periods. So that's one thing to consider, is that you can, yes, avoid probate without a trust, but there are limitations, is that the distribution would be outright and there are really no restrictions on when that will happen. So how do we do that? First way is to avoid probate without a trust is through beneficiary designations. These are found on your retirement accounts, your investment accounts, and your insurance and policies. And what those accounts allow you to do is name a person who will receive that account when you die. There you can name multiple people. Normally you name a primary beneficiary and then a backup. You can name multiple people within the primary and backup designations. You can also control how much they receive. So if you have 3 people, one person can receive 70%, the other person can receive 20%, and then the third person can receive 10%. And there's a lot of flexibility in how you structure it. So that is a great way to avoid probate with those particular accounts. The other way is with regard to bank and savings accounts. And what you do is you have the account be a transfer and death account. And what that does is that it names a certain person. That account will be transferred for when you die. This is very common, and you should really have these on all your bank accounts that are held individually. That's something to consider. And another thing that a strategy people may use, which I usually don't recommend, especially for bank accounts or for a lot of other types of property, is to avoid probate through joint ownership. A lot of times what happens is that someone has a bank account and they want it to transfer to a sister or another relative or a child upon death. So what they'll do is they'll name that person as a joint owner. Definitely avoids probate, because once you die, the ownership then transfers to that person, or they become the sole owner of that account. So it definitely avoids probate. But there are a lot of other unintended consequences that can occur with having a joint owner on a bank account. So it's not the best strategy to do, and really transfer and death is the better way to do it. But if there's a situation where you want to have someone help you manage that account, there are other ways besides joint ownership, which is another common reason why people add someone to an account. But you could have someone through a power of attorney, or if the bank allows you to add additional signer, then you can do that as well. So those are 2 ways for bank accounts and retirement accounts, investment accounts, and life insurance policies, so they can avoid probate. With regard to other assets such as real property, some states do allow a transfer on death deed, which is a recorded document that allows for the transfer of the real estate of the house or whatever the case may be to a particular person on death. In Massachusetts, where I practice, those are not allowed. So if you want to transfer your house to someone after you die and avoid probate, that has to be done through a trust. The other type of asset that you probably will need to do for a trust is if you own a business. There's really no way to transfer shares of an LLC to someone without going through probate if you don't have a trust. So just to kind of recap, there are ways to avoid probate without a trust. One is through beneficiary designations. Two is through transfer and death accounts. But if you do have a house or other real estate or business, you definitely want to consider creating a trust to transfer that property. And again, if you don't mind the outright distributions or direct distributions to your beneficiaries when you die, then you can avoid probate using these strategies. However, if you do want to have some restrictions or have some control on how and when they receive those assets, then a trust would be the better option. But really, the best thing to do is, if you have questions about this, is to talk to an attorney to see what option makes most sense for you and will accomplish your estate planning goals. You can talk to us if you want. But, again, if you want to have questions about this, the best thing to do is talk to an attorney to see what the best strategy is for you regarding your estate plan. So that's all I have for you today. Again, if you want to talk to me about avoiding probate, about other estate planning questions, or probate in general, you can go to aubreylegal.com and schedule a time to talk with me for free. Again, that website is aubreylegal.com. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you again soon.